Alright guys, welcome back to Public Health Girlies, located at your local Colorado State University podcast group. I'm Yasmin Shoaf, and I'm here with my guests.
I'm Lindsay Barco.
Anna Blanks.
And I'm Kaylee Dodd.
And today we're here to talk about the Palisades fires, guys. Super recent news, super troubling, but I've been hearing some crazy things about it. Like, what's up with you guys?
And just the amount of destroyed property, and especially with California pushing for electric vehicles and the law where the vehicles need to be electric by 2030, how much damage is coming from the batteries and from those cars.
The lithium-ion batteries.
Yeah, how are they dealing with that waste disposal?
Right.
How do you get rid of those, especially when they've been burned? And I hear they can reach, like up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit and burn for hours.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have seen those videos of people's, phones and, e-scooters exploding, right? So,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I can't imagine, those just sitting in a fire. What would happen?
Yeah.
Just especially since California has the most electric vehicles in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They have around 1 million, and
Oh my gosh.
just in Los Angeles proper, there's about 280,000 electric vehicles.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And then when they burn the battery, how are they going to dispose of all of those?
Yeah, guys, wow. All right, so I guess that's what we're diving into today. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so diving into it, let's just kind of discuss, what happened with the fires in California.
Yeah, so the California Palisades fire actually started on January 7th of 2025. Quite an unfortunate way to start off the year, if you ask me. And it grew to about 23,448 acres in size, with a total of 973 structures damaged. And I'm getting all this information off of Cal Fire, their online server here. But it says that they had full containment on January 31st of 2025, so this thing burned for quite a while, destroyed about 6,833 structures, and it looks like there was 12 civilian fatalities with 3 injuries, unfortunately. Just completely devastating.
Wow, dang, that's horrible to hear. I mean, I've also been seeing about all the animals and the displacement too.
Oh yeah, just awful. And they
massive burnage.
Yeah, and they did have shelters available for those animals and the people, obviously. But evacuation was rough. Long wait times to get out of the Palisades for sure.
Yeah, and then just with the recovery and rebuilding and cleanup from those fires, there's about 69,000 visits just to recovery centers from individuals to seek help, and FEMA actually has helped about 33,000, almost 34,000 individuals, and it's given and distributed about $121.9 million to those individuals. All the schools that were destroyed by those fires have reopened. They've actually completed phase 1, which is just removing the hazardous material. They haven't cleaned it up. They're just have removed all the hazardous material from the fire.
So they've taken it off site?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
Now we're moving on to the debris removal, and they're only 19% of the way done with the debris removal.
So there's just burnt house structures just chilling everywhere?
Yeah, there's just a lot of work, and they just need the funding, the hands, the personnel to do this, and it just takes time, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're already in the end of April. You think they would have a little bit more than about 20% done, but wow.
But at least 8 water systems are back up and running, and there's only 1 that still needs to be rebuilt.
Okay. I'm wondering who that service is. Singular.
I don't know, unfortunately.
I'm not too descriptive on that.
No, ca.gov is not too descriptive on that.
When are they?
Government.
Guys, speaking of public opinion on this, on the cleanup, I've just heard a lot of people are getting upset on the time frame.
It is taking a lot longer than, if it was a year, if it happened here, we would be pitching up a fit if it was taking this long. After the Marshall fires, we were very quick to act on that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and then according to, it looks like Newsweek here, if my ad will go, okay, according to Newsweek here, it looks like a town hall meeting was put in place for the Pacific Palisades debris removal which included the EPA, but it just turned into this questioning from the public to the EPA of, when are these debris going to get cleared? When can they go back to their homes? Some of these homes are still standing, and they want to go back and, kind of figure out what's left and what's not left, and then go from there. And it looks like there's a delay to recovery efforts, and it could well last into 2026, which is
That's a long time.
That is quite a
horrific to
while.
hear. That is so unfortunate. All those displaced families and animals and homes. Oh wow.
And we have to think the demographics of LA. There's a lot of people in the LA area that are low income. So how is this hurting them because of their socioeconomic status?
Exactly.
Yeah, it must hit them harder for sure. These.
All right, guys, time to just focus on like some hazardous waste concerns from these fires, and then we're just gonna go back to those lithium-ion batteries. Something similar pretty much occurred back in Hawaii a little bit ago in the Lahaina fire. The EPA actually developed this unofficial method called the Maui method. I don't know if you guys heard of this.
No,
but it's just it's a two-part process where they remove the batteries and they crush them before transporting them, because they have to take them off the island because there's no place to put them there. They wouldn't like explode on transport. But I heard they're kind of implementing something similar here in California for the Palisades fires. But I don't know. What have you guys heard?
I haven't heard too much about that, honestly. I've just been like thinking about just lithium-ion batteries aren't only in electric vehicles. It's in our phones, our computers, our tablets. We use it in so many different things, and so it's bigger scale than just thinking, oh, there's this many cars that have it, and we can't just throw it in the trash can. We have to dispose of it properly because it's a fire hazard, and you can't even bring it to a normal recycling center. But the EPA website does have sources for you to be able to go and look up where you can bring it to safely dispose of it, because not only is it a fire hazard, it's also an environmental hazard.
Right, because to make lithium-ion batteries, they use heavy metals like cobalt, copper, nickel, and lead, and those can leach out into the environment and exceed regulatory limits under landfill conditions. And yeah, definitely bad for the environment and human health for sure.
Yeah, I was actually just kind of reading up on some scientific articles, and the University of Sheffield and some London colleges, they put out the off-gassing, which is what happens when the batteries burn, because they're in a fire, they get too hot, they implode, they release a bunch of nasty things you definitely don't want to be breathing in. Some of them include carbon monoxide, hydrogen gas, hydrocarbons, which can be stuff like methane and stuff that really contributes to global warming, and also just poor air quality, ozone, all those things. So it's like really important to think about not only they're like burning, catching fire, you don't want to be around that, but like what they're doing to the environment for sure.
Just imagine all that getting into like the water supply, all the heavy metal poisoning that could get.
Oh, definitely. It's going everywhere. It's going in the air, it's going in the soil, going in the water. Oh,
It's affecting local communities for sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, and just kind of more on that cleanup that we're talking about. I've been seeing some news about how they're transporting to other sites. I haven't
Yeah.
heard much about that.
Yeah, so apparently they have 4 federal staging areas, and this is all according to the Seattle Times. But apparently they have 4 federal staging areas for the hazardous materials from the Palisades fire, where the rubble is being stored. And it looks like one of these sites, it's in Lario Park, and it's near working class Black and Hispanic communities, which is, an issue because we're talking about cleaning up one crisis. Are we manufacturing a second one in a community at risk?
Yeah, and like as you were kind of talking, I was looking it up, and this staging area that they have for the Eaton fire, the Lario one you're mentioning, it's not even near. They have to take it down I-270 and go ahead and move it over to this area, which is predominantly Hispanic. And I have this quote pulled up from this article. The mayor of the town that it's next to says we're just a poor Latino community. Like they had no choice, they had no say. And you know, their heart goes out to the people that were affected by this fire, but like you said, like, are they making a new crisis by moving this waste to a new area to help dispose of it?
Yeah, and I like that. I like that quote that you found, the Mayor Robert Gonzalez from Azusa, when he says, "Are we looked at with a different set of glasses compared to the Palisades or Pasadena?" Which I think is a very valid argument, especially when you're talking about transporting this toxic waste and breaking it down, especially in a community that had no say on it to begin with, since this is federal land. So it's really taking into account of are we doing the right thing? Is the EPA doing the right thing in breaking down this material at these locations?
Mm-hmm. And then with those breakdowns, I mean, regardless of where it's at, are there any safeguards in place? Mm-hmm. Because even if it's like 100 miles out of the city, I still want to know that there's some safeguards to try and help protect the environment.
You know, reading up on this document the EPA put out about the Lario site, they did say there was liners in place. They test the soil. They test current monitoring, like it's real-time monitoring of the soil, the air. They're testing, and they put up large fences, barbed wire fences around this facility as well. So
is that to keep someone out or keep people in?
That's a great question. That's what I'd like to know. But you know, hopefully no one's trespassing on federal land, because that alone is just its own crime. But you know, especially if they're trying to get into a haz waste site, you know, where they're trying to package all this stuff, I wouldn't.
Who doesn't want a zombie outbreak?
So true. I mean, think of the possibilities here.
It'd be fun.
And it does look like the EPA is gonna conduct post-operation soil sampling, according to their website, at each staging area to ensure that there was no environmental impact, especially when you're talking about, you know, ground, water, air, and especially how that interacts with the local communities. So, you know, it's just this discourse between the local communities and the EPA, and then the EPA just making sure that they go through on their word and actually conduct these post-operation samplings to make sure that there is no harm to these communities.
And actually, reading up on it, they promised that they'd get this done within 30 days.
Wow.
And they actually kind of stuck to it, guys. Like,
wow.
It seems like they actually were able to do this in, I think it was 27 or 29, a little bit ahead of schedule. So, I mean, props to them. They're actually, government's keeping up to what they said they do. So.
And that's good, because there's a huge lack of trust from the public and the government.
I mean, there was no transparency. They just showed up and said, "Hey, we're doing this. Enjoy." And then the public was like, "What?"
Historically, it's always been just what's happening, what's going on, tell us something, or just they're telling us, do this, don't question us, just go do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, they say, "Oh, we'll be liable if anything happens," but like, what's the timeline on that? Like, how immediate is their action going to be? Like, how accurate and effective are they going to be considering the area? You know, like, it's just.
And then who suffers the consequences? The community.
Yeah, and they're always quick to react. I've noticed, like, when it is the communities that have the money, that have those assets, that are beneficial to the
dominant groups, yeah.
But when it's the minority groups, they get landfills next to them.
Yep.
Gosh, wow.
So true.
So guys, with like all this horrific news, it's been like, you know, the relocation sites and all that, but like what are the next steps? What's our future looking like here?
Well, it's without a doubt lithium ion batteries and the products that comes with it, those aren't going anywhere. It's just becoming more and more involved in our life. We've seen them more since they were first developed. I think it was back in like the 60s when they first started working on it, and the 90s when it really hit the market, when they started becoming prominent in our life. It's not just electric vehicles, cell phones, laptops, and they're just making them smaller and smaller, so it's just getting into more objects all around us. And the ones in vehicles, even so, when it's no longer good for a vehicle to use that, for that battery to be used, just because at the end of their lifespan they have about 70% use, and that no car owner wants that.
Exactly, yeah.
But they still have about 10 working years left on them. There's other, how can we recycle these without destroying them?
Exactly.
What uses can we find in them that's not in a car, but still will use, because they're not small. Those batteries are not small.
By no means.
Imagine carrying that around in your backpack.
Yeah, this is where I charge my laptop.
So it's like, what other uses can we come up with for those lithium ion batteries? Because they're here to stay.
Yeah.
most things that are man-made are here to stay for not just our lifetime, but also our kids' lifetime and maybe their kids' lifetime.
All right, and then I was just looking at some scholarly articles about lithium-ion batteries and moving towards a safer future regarding them, just because, like you said, they are being incorporated into our everyday life and do look like a good, option for a greener future, said in quotes. Advances in Applied Energy, which is a book written in 2023, has an article in volume 11 that says, improving the safety of batteries, and this is a direct quote, improving the safety of batteries is a systematic project, and at a time when there has been no breakthrough in the chemical system, improvements, such as the build of a practical graded warning system, are needed in all aspects of design, production, use, and disposal to improve battery safety and minimize the risk of failure. So really what I'm getting from this is that we just haven't had enough time with these batteries to have an accurate system, an accurate way to design them, produce them, dispose of them safely. So maybe with time and with more research, this will improve.
Well, then also just better educating the public, because I am one of the people that I know I shouldn't, but I throw my batteries away.
Yeah, I feel like that's a common trend.
It's just like we know we should, we don't know why we shouldn't. We know when we go on airplanes that they ask, does anything you have batteries? When you're mailing a package, they ask if there's batteries. You don't always know why, and I feel like a lot of people, if there's the understanding of why something is bad, they avoid it when they know why. But just being told by your parents, don't do that, that's bad for you, I don't care, I'm gonna still do it.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, I feel like this is the case with a lot of things of today. Like, our technology is way advancing, like, how we treat it, how we take care of it. And we're just facing the repercussions of that today.
Yeah, of course.
All right, guys, I feel like I've really learned a lot in today's episode. This has been, episode on hazardous waste, lithium-ion batteries, and Curly's in public health. So thank you for my guest for joining me today. And I hope to have you on future episodes.
Yeah, no problem. Fun talking
Thanks
about
for
it.
having us.
Yeah, thank you.